I've got the spores, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.
Welcome to the Critérium du Dauphiné preview. Will Remco Evenepoel be able to battle with the best on the uphill finishes? What is Team Visma Bike's plan without Jonas Vingegaard? And can Sam Bennett show his great form in the French preparation race on Tour de France? Discover all about it in a new episode of the Domestique Cycling Podcast. 1 week after the Giro d'Italia, I'm joined by the Domestique OG. Welcome, Yves.
Hi, Hannes.
It's been a long time since the two of us had a podcast episode together.
Yeah, it is, but we're here. The road to the France starts with the Dauphiné.
But the question is, are you recovered from the first Grand Tour of the season, Giro d'Italia?
I'm recovered. I'm ready for the next Grand Tour of the season already. I hope the legs from Pogacar are giving him the same sensations, but he's probably going to be fatigued, the Slovenian. But it's still 4 weeks, a little bit less to go till the start in Italy for the tour. So yeah, I'm ready and I'm pumped for the Dauphiné that starts pretty soon.
Which Grand Tour do you prefer, Giro or Tour de France?
That's a difficult question, to be honest. Tour de France is better scheduled in everyone's agenda diary because it's in the holiday period, so you can watch more stages from the Tour de France. And the name Tour de France is still bigger than the Giro, is the Tour de France after all. But purely looking at parkour, etc., and the way it's raced, the Giro and Vuelta are always entertaining, in my opinion. This year, maybe a little bit less because the dominance of Pogacar was, no one could match him. But still, the teams aren't bringing the super squads to the Giro or the Vuelta normally, and that creates a more open race in comparison to the Tour de France, which is more important for team sponsors, where they line up all the best riders of their team. It's more controlled in a certain way, in my opinion.
We have a stacked lineup for Critérium du Dauphiné as well, but that's something we'll talk about later. I gotta show you something first.
Oui.
This arrived at my house this week. Do you know what that is?
It's our trophy from the name game from Visma Bike. We won that, surprisingly. Surprisingly, we did everything we could to say Visma Bike and remove Jumbo from our heads. But still,
And yet here it is.
It's a nice achievement, and I think we can be proud that we got the trophy.
Proud Visma Bike name game winners. All right, Yves, let's dive right into the action at Critérium du Dauphiné, starting with the course maybe. Can you tell us, what does it look like?
The parkour is very tough. If we link up with the start list, we see that fast men don't want to start in the Dauphiné, and I think we both understand why. There isn't a single flat stage.
I think this is the toughest course I've ever seen for Dauphiné.
Yeah, it's perfect as a preparation for the GC men for the Tour. If you are a sprinter who needs some climbing in the legs to be able to survive the Tour de France, the first week of the Tour de France, then you can go to the Dauphiné, but you're not going as a fast man to the Dauphiné to win a stage. There is 1.5 chance for a sprinter to get a stage win.
I think we're talking about stages 1 and 5.
Yeah.
In that case, for sprinters.
Yeah, but stage 1 has 1,800 altitude meters, so it's not like a pan flat stage that we see in UAE. And then stage 5 is 2,300 stage meters, where an uphill opening half of the stage. That's Bennett, for example, is one of the fast men at the start. He will be dropped after a kilometer or 10 or in that stage, and then it's up to the team to bring him back.
And important, Both sprint stages have a kicker within the final 20 kilometers.
Yeah, so I think it's more advantage the punchy sprinters. We have a couple of them at the start, but the bunch sprinters don't really have a chance. Their only real chance is stage one, because when I look at the stage five profile again, it's hard. That first half,
It's more of a transition stage, isn't it?
yeah, it's if you if you see such sort of profiles in a Grand Tour, then immediately Mohoric popped in my head. It's a Baroudeur stage. People get away and battle for the stage win. Of course, in a Dauphiné, it's only 1 week stage race. It's not. I don't know if Breakaway will get a lot of freedom, purely because the strength of the teams at the starting
You
line.
know what the problem is? As there aren't a lot of sprinters on the start list, there aren't a lot of teams who will control those stages, which opens up opportunities for guys, for Baroudeurs. You were talking about Mohoric for that stage five. This was a prime Thomas de Gent stage
Mm,
as well, but unfortunately the guy is sick.
yeah,
But next to those two stages, we also have one individual time trial,
yeah,
34 kilometers with 420 altitude meters. So that's a tough one as well. Guys who want to go for GC will have to perform on that stage. And then, if I counted it correctly, we have two hilly stages and three pure mountain stages, which is absolutely bonkers.
yeah. It immediately starts on Monday, stage two with an uphill finish. It's not the hardest, but still, yeah, it goes up for quite a while. The last, what is it? Um,
Yeah, 25,
30,
30 kilometers.
25, 30 Ks go uphill with a little flat section in between. So will we see GC action already in stage two? I have my doubts. It's gonna be a sprint for a reduced group for me. I don't think it's smart for uh, an Ayuso, for example, to
I
go
think
rogue
stage
already.
two is a perfect stage for instance, Buitrago to attack close to the line or sprint to the finish.
Yeah, but it's perfect for a Roglic as well, a stage like that. So if Bora, we're gonna talk about the squad later, but if they have the strength in their squad, if they can control that last 10K after that flat part, then Roglic is one of the fastest to the finish line still. And he has to show some form already, because in 4 weeks is his main goal. So I expect Roglic to be close, and maybe Bora already to make a statement in that stage.
Stage three is, yeah,
Yeah,
more
yeah,
or less the same. Um, Hilly stage, not really pure mountain stage, but I think the first mountain finish will be stage six, the one to Le Collet d'Alvar. That's 11.2 kilometers at 8.5% average. That's tough. And I think, yeah, stage seven, the same, 9.9 kilometers at 9%. And stage eight, Plateau de Glières, 9.3 at 7.3%. So, um, why do you think this is the perfect preparation for Tour de France?
Well, there's a lot. First of all, a lot of climbing, of course, um, and I think most of our listeners know how the opening weekend of Tour de France looks like. It's already tough right from the gun. You have to be ready. So it's not like you can, yeah, peak towards second or third week in the Tour de France. You have to be um, fully prepared at the opening in the opening weekend. And if you have three uphill finishes like this in the Dauphiné, um, it's perfect to see where am I, where do I have to put my effort in for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Am I, yeah, am I not explosive enough yet? Do I have to do some intervals, or am I suffering too much when there is a high pace? If that's the case, then you're gonna have a big problem for the tour. So in my opinion, if you're not good in those final three stages as a GC man, then you're gonna suffer in the Tour de France because it's only 3.5, 4 weeks till the start of the tour. How much more can you improve? So it's crunch time already for the GC man. That final weekend of Dauphiné.
Dauphiné is most of the time the race in which we get answers on a lot of questions we have going to Tour de France. Um, which are the biggest questions you have at this point before the start of this year's Dauphiné?
Well, first of all, I think that's the main question for a lot of cycling followers. How good is Remco Evenepoel? Um, they, I think, Koen Pelgrim, coach at Soudal Quick-Step, said they are purely going to see how good he is. He's at a decent level. He's far from his best level. Remco said it himself. It's his first time on the individual time trial bike as well after his crash. So how is it in that position? Because it's a completely different position. So yeah, that final 3 stages are going to be important for Remco. First of all, to see how good am I really, and is it possible to be ready for the Tour de France? Uh,
Do
I
you
have
believe he's not going for GC? Because that's what he said.
well, I don't think he's going to lose time in that opening 3 stages, and then you have the fourth stage individual time trial. If Evenepoel feels slightly good, even 85%, he's going to be one of the best in that time trial. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the yellow jersey at the end of stage four, to be honest.
Those are big words.
Do you disagree?
Yeah, it's perfectly possible, depending on what happens in that hilly stage. If other, if other time trial specialists lose time there, it's possible Remco takes yellow after the individual time trial. But I don't know how good he is. I got the feeling that Soudal Quick-Step is keeping the pressure away from him. He's not going for GC. He's not feeling good enough. But this is the 1st of June. Tour de France is 1 month away. You already need to have a certain level, if you want to be competitive at Tour de France.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, you talked about it in chat earlier this week about Evenepoel and his fitness level. After his crash in the Basque Country, he was able to hop back on his bike pretty fast. It's not like he has been off the bike for a very long time in comparison to Vinegar, who, a week and a half, that's long. So he has lost quite a bit of fitness in that period that he wasn't able to bike properly, but still, I think he's gonna be on a more than decent level in this Dauphiné, and they are just using the unfortunate crash, to keep the pressure low because it's the first participation in the Tour de France as well. Later in June, for the Belgian, they always are very careful about the schedule from Evenepoel. They wanted him to start Tour de France when he was fully ready. Now he was, so this is the perfect opportunity for Soudal to keep it under the
But I think
profile.
that's a smart thing for the team to do. It's Remco Evenepoel, and I truly believe the team has questions themselves at this point. Evenepoel hasn't raced yet, so um, imagine the situation in which Evenepoel isn't able to follow the best during the mountain stages. What consequences will that have for Tour de France, in your opinion?
It's a difficult question. I mentioned to you earlier this week, if you drop in the opening stages, in the hillier stages, I don't see it as a big issue because we can see it as gaining race rhythm, getting that special feeling in the lungs again, like what Van Aert mentioned in the Tour of Norway. You can't simulate that on training. You can only do it in races. So that's going to be the same for Evenepoel. So if he drops in that first 2-3 stages, I don't think it's a big problem. It's going to be maybe a bigger problem if it's in the final weekend, the real mountain stages, because then it's only we're the 8th of June, so then it's 3 weeks, a little bit less for the tour. So if you drop then, it's gonna be difficult. I don't know how fast he can gain fitness, how good he can peak. We all
You
know,
already mentioned it. The biggest problem with this year Tour de France is the fact that
yeah,
it's money time right from the gun.
yeah,
You
it's
don't
not
have the
yet.
time to grow into the race.
No,
You have to be there from the very first stages.
yeah, indeed. But you asked me what are the main questions. So we only talked about Evenepoel. I have another one that I'm very a question about Theo Gegenhardt. It's a very strong team alongside Ciccone. Um, he went to Little Track to be GC leader in Grand Tours. He left in his Grenadiers. What do you expect from Gegenhardt in this Dauphiné, and then further on in the Tour?
I think Gegenhardt will start the race with some questions about himself as well. Um, he has been looking in several stage races to get some confirmation about I will be able to compete with the best in the Grand Tours in Tour de France. And I don't think he has found an answer on that question yet. Tour de Romandie, he ended up ninth in GC, which is not terrible, but that's also not, yeah, the result you hope for. Despite the fact that Gegenhardt had a really bad injury last season. The guy was barely able to walk. Um, but I think we had that discussion this week about how Little Track will race this Dauphiné with Ciccone. I don't think Gegenhardt will be the main leader. Um, I think that's always been the plan that Gegenhardt would be leader at Tour de France. So this is the perfect race to get to know the team, to get to know the team tactics. So I don't think there will be much freedom for Ciccone. But at the same time, I think you thought he would be co-leader. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. He, if you're Little Track, I would start them, yeah, as co-leaders because Ciccone is strong in 1 week stage race. For me, his problem is gonna be that quite long individual time trial for Ciccone. It's an uphill drag for the majority of that time trial. So the powerhouses among the time trialists will do pretty good there. It's just about power, about watts. Ciccone will lose quite a bit of time there, but how is Gegenhardt gonna do in that time trial? I have no clue at all. So I would, yeah, give them some freedom, see how it goes. They have Pedersen as well, who's always there for the stage win. If he's at the start line, we know Pedersen is going to be close to a stage win or get a stage win. So that's something they have in mind for the race. And then is to see how the climbing team with Verona as well, how they are going to work together, how it's going to be. So I think they
Giving
would,
giving freedom to Ciccone could be really smart, in my opinion, um, because you know all the big guys, all the big GC guys at the start, they have some questions about themselves. Roglic has questions. Remco Evenepoel has questions. Pogacar isn't there. Vingegaard isn't there. That might open up some freedom for guys like Ciccone during stage two, for instance, on Col de la Loge, if they attack with 5 kilometers to go and gain a small time advantage, that could be beneficial for the rest of the race.
yeah,
There's no team that will. I don't know if there will there be a team that might fully control the race. I don't know. Maybe UAE Team Emirates, but it could be very, very interesting the way Little Trek will be racing here.
yeah, it's the parcours for the Dauphiné and the start list. The combination of it is, yeah, it's made for entertaining racing. Um, like we said in the sprint hill stages, who's gonna control in the mountain stages? Yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit top disrespectful. We don't have that top level of Grand Tour riders with Pogacar and Vingegaard not present. So yeah, it opens up opportunities for a lot of guys on the start list of this year's Dauphiné.
Absolutely. Maybe going back to Soudal Quick-Step one more time. I had one more question on my sheet. Mikel Landa,
It's a
if the
question on my
team
sheet as well.
if the team says that Remco Evenepoel isn't going for GC, does that mean Mikel Landa will be?
I was gonna ask exactly the same question to you. You were first, so yeah, like I mentioned with Ciccone, that time trial might be a problem for Landa. The name under Landa on the start list, Ilan van Wilder, he has that time trial. It's possible that Van Wilder is the best Soudal Quick-Step rider after stage 4. If Evenepoel drops time somewhere in the first 3 stages, and then what is Soudal Quick-Step gonna do? Are they gonna give the opportunity to Van Wilder, because Van Wilder aims high as well. He wants to win races himself. He's not purely a domestique. He doesn't want to be purely a domestique. He already mentioned that last year. So yeah, if he's there, if he's in the main position within the team, I think Van Wilder might try to stay close to an Ayuso, a Roglic, the big favorites for the Dauphiné, to try and get that good GC result. But Landa, yeah, it would
I
be
think
lovely.
we can both agree that Landa won't be the GC leader.
Yeah, because of that time trial, in my opinion. If that time trial isn't there, then I would say yes. He can be a GC leader if Evenepoel doesn't perform on top GC level. But right now, I have my doubts. And if it happens, then I hope Landa gets some freedom to go for a stage win in that last weekend.
The same question goes for Team Visma Lease Bike. Without Jonas Vingegaard being at Dauphiné, we don't really know who will be their leader. Will it be Sepp Kuss? Will it be Jurgensen? What do you think?
I think the main question for Visma Leasebike is, when does their bad luck stop? We're the start of June. The amount of bad luck they had through the season, starting with the classics, then the Grand Tour, the Giro was pretty horrendous for them as well due to crashes, illnesses, etc. Vingegaard is a question mark for the Tour de France. He's a big question mark for me in comparison to Machin in the interview yesterday, saying Vingegaard is the main favorite. But who's gonna be the big guy in the Dauphiné? I expect a lot from Jurgensen, to be honest. I think they're gonna try and see how good Jurgensen can perform again as a GC leader. He won Paris-Nice earlier this year. So
But
yeah,
still,
why not try
there is a
Jurgensen?
difference between a 1 week stage race and a Grand Tour. So my next question would be, what does this Dauphiné tell about the Tour de France approach of Team Visma Lease Bike? Will they be looking for someone to be the second leader in case Vingegaard doesn't perform?
It's probably it has to be on their mind, because yeah, Vingegaard is just 2 weeks and a half back on his bike after a severe crash. But there is only one Vingegaard, of course, and I have my doubts if someone is able to fill Jonas's shoes within that squad. They have a super strong squad, don't understand me wrong. But to be GC leader in a Grand Tour, there are quite a bit of question marks. Yeah, Kuss won the Vuelta, but we think we can both agree if Vingegaard and Roglic weren't in his team, he wouldn't win. He wouldn't have won that. And Kuss still has that problem with individual time trialing. There's only one flat-ish individual time trial in the Tour, and one mountain time trial. But yeah, if Vingegaard doesn't start the Tour de France at 100% for Visma Lease Bike, then I think Visma isn't gonna play a major role
for GC.
for GC.
So we can conclude that in this Dauphiné, Sepp Kuss and Jurgensen will start as co-leaders, and then
Yeah.
they will see what happens. Okay. On to UAE Team Emirates, who has, in my opinion, the big favorite for this race.
Juan Ayuso, I assume.
Is that a surprise to you?
No, Ayuso is yeah. Probably a little bit of listeners are going to be angry saying that, but Ayuso is the most talented rider on this start list in the Dauphiné. He's still so young, but I expect him to go rogue. I want to see an Ayuso for the first time. I have a lot of expectations about the young Spaniard, but still I'm waiting on that final thing to prove he's so talented as
You want to see
everybody.
fireworks,
Yeah, I want to see him
attack.
dominate a race. I often recall him when I think about races as Ayuso, the hard-working climber, yeah, who's trying to hold on to a group and who drops off, comes back a little bit.
And
I
now you want
get
to
some
see him on the
of
other side of the group,
yeah,
controlling, setting the pace,
yeah.
attacking.
I
I
want to
get
see him
that.
dominate.
I think the individual time trial is a huge advantage for him. The guy has clearly improved this year on his time trialing.
The whole
And
squad.
also the whole squad indeed. Yeah, the stage profiles are a dream for the team. But maybe start with the lineup of UAE Team Emirates first with Igor Arrieta, Juan Ayuso, Niels Pollitt, Pavel Sivakov, Marc Soler, Michael Vink, and Tim Wellens. This is a damn strong team. But do you think the guys lining up here still need to earn their spot in the Tour de France team?
A couple of them have, I think. Ayuso is certain for his spot. Valens is certain for his spot. Sivakov probably as well, if I recall correctly. Then you have Soler. We always had our doubts about Soler as a teammate, but I think last season he proved that he's a capable teammate to work for a leader, being Pogacar. Um, so yeah, Pollitt is a certainty as well, but then Michael Vink is not going to the tour. I think if you see what's on the bench for UAE, if you
That's
can use some
insane.
football terms. So yeah, I just opened up the provisional start list for the Tour de France from UAE and compare it to the start list for Dauphiné. Yeah, I know it's a Dauphiné preview we're recording, but that provisional start squad for the UAE: Pogacar, Ayuso, Almeida, Yates, Sivakov, Soler, Wellens, Pollitt. Head off, don't start. That's
and and yet Machin says Pogacar isn't the favorite.
like Pogacar is a leader in a team. Ayuso, if he leaves the team, he's an absolute leader. Almeida, same. Yates, same. Sivakov, if a French squad picks him up, certainly going as GC leader as well. Um, for example, going to Cofidis, replace Guillaume Martin as GC leader. And yeah, that squad is insane. But you see that UAE isn't using Dauphiné as a preparation race for the Tour, because not a lot of riders at the start list of the Dauphiné are lining up, or probably lining up at the Tour.
The approach
So
will be different.
yeah, I think the other half of the Tour de France squad will go to Swiss.
Despite the fact that I think in a certain scenario Ayuso can win Tour de France as well.
He can, but in a certain scenario, Adam Yates can win the Tour de France as well.
I think the chances of Ayuso are way bigger, to be honest. I see Yates as the super domestique. Um, give some freedom to Ayuso in the Tour, and the guy might take too much time. Yeah, but this is Dauphiné preview. It's something we'll talk about in a
Yeah,
couple of
but
weeks.
it's gonna be important for Ayuso to show to the management of UAE that he's ready. It's less than a month to go to the tour. It's now up to Ayuso to prove that he's a very good backup option for Pogacar if the fatigue hits the Slovenian. So it's crunch time for Ayuso to show his level.
Absolutely. It's not only UAE team members who has a really strong squad here. There's bora-hansgrohe as well. Primoz Roglic, he's approaching his big goal of the season, his Tour de France win. What do you expect from Roglic after his crash? Because his body looked, yeah, horrendous.
Well, we discussed it this week as well. I expect big things from Roglic, I have to say. Yeah, he was battered up quite badly after his multiple crashes in the Basque Country. But still, he didn't break any bones. He didn't have fractures, so he was able to keep on training. He didn't really had to stay off the bike for a couple of days. So purely looking at fitness, he should be where he wanted to be. Um, if he didn't reach his level he wants right now at the Dauphiné, then there is something wrong with the approach within the Bora team. Because now Roglic has to show that he's ready. He had a mediocre season so far. Um, Due to the crash in Basque Country, of course, he couldn't prove me otherwise because he was wearing the leader jersey there. But yeah, it's crunch time, and that's why I say in the first stage or the second stage that Bora might go for it already to give Roglic that confidence that he needs to build up towards his big goal of the season, the Tour de France. And when you have a Hindley, a Vlasov next to you, it's the same story as a UAE. They both can be leader in another team. Then yeah, you
Um,
have to prove in this Dauphiné. Yeah, Roglic has to prove in this Dauphiné that he needs to be leader in the Tour.
if he wants to be competitive for the win at Tour de France, what do you want to see him the next week?
Win or be very close to the overall win. If he loses to Ayuso with 12 seconds, for example, in the overall standings, yeah, he can be happy. But I want to see him battle. And yeah, getting the yellow jersey at the end of the Dauphiné is the best possible way to end it. But if it doesn't happen, then yeah, I have my doubts.
Another question. Machin, the manager of UAE Team Emirates, mentioned Alexander Vlasov as one of the big favorites for Tour de France as well. He talked about Roglic, Evenepoel, Vingegaard, and then he put Vlasov in that same list. Was that a surprise to you?
No, because first of all, Machin just wants UAE to be in the underdog position and mentions every possible GC man, to be a favorite for the tour. But Vlasov is good. He's a good Grand Tour rider. Um, yeah, consistent top 5 finisher in Grand Tours. But yeah,
Twice.
I wouldn't have mentioned Vlasov, to be honest, being Machin, but still, yeah, it's. I see one big issue with this Dauphiné lineup for Bora. There is quite a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Roglic, because if it happens that a Hindley or a Vlasov shows to be better during the Dauphiné, then there's gonna be a problem.
Exactly. If Roglic fails, um, I think the mindset of those guys like Hindley and Vlasov will
Mm.
change going to Tour de France because those guys will think, yeah, I'm feeling good, but still I have to work for a leader who doesn't perform. That ruins my own chance for Tour de France, which isn't ideal. So yeah, this is a very important week for Primoz Roglic, definitely.
Yeah. High stakes.
Okay, we talked about a couple of GC favorites now. You already mentioned that there isn't a lot of sprinters at the start of Dauphiné. We talked about Mats Pedersen, who is, I think, the biggest candidate for stage wins in stage 1 and 5. But there is a certain Irishman who, yeah, rose like a phoenix from his ashes. Sam Bennett.
Well, yeah, I joked about him on our X account during the stage race in Dunkirk. After his win in stage 2, I made the joke, Sam Bennett wins a sprint for once. Um, he proved me wrong and just did the same for the majority of the stages afterwards.
He won
But
4 of them and GC.
but still, it's it's only a 2-point pro race in Dunkirk. With all respect, although his performance on the castle was impressive, to be honest. Um, but no, what are you doing here, Sam? Please go on altitude camp or something, but don't go to the
I think this
Dauphiné
is
to just.
uphill training, surviving the mountains.
Yeah, it's maybe training the the squad to drag into the line within the time cut. Uh, no, still, and even a flat sprint in the Tour. I don't see him win a stage in the Tour de France. So I certainly don't see him win a stage in the Dauphiné.
They have one, yeah, maybe for you, 2 really interesting names in their lineup for Dauphiné. For me, that's Dorian Godon. Um, he is he has a big engine. He has a decent sprint at the end of a tough stage. So in case Bennett drops in one of those 2 stages, stage 1 or 5, he will be the one going for the win, and I think he might be close.
Yeah, he might be close. We mentioned it pre-recording that the the lack of really fast men creates space for punchy finishers, punchy sprinters, and Godon is certainly one of them. He's very strong, and he will certainly get close to a stage win if the race situation turns out perfectly, of course.
The guy won 2 stages at Tour de Romandie, if I recall correctly. So
Yeah,
um, yeah, the legs are there. Is there another sprinter you would like to mention?
a sprinter. Milan Manton for Lotto Destiny. If you purely look at speed, he's maybe the third fastest on the start list after Bennett and Pedersen. Um, yeah, but it's gonna be the same problem as Bennett, I think, and just training to reach the time cut.
You know, that says a lot. I was asking you for sprinters' names. We dropped 3 of them, 4 of them. Yeah, that tells everything about the course. This isn't a
Yeah,
race for
yeah.
sprinters.
But then we have a layer underneath that fast sprinters. I listed them. We have Magnus Kort, we have Fred Wright, Garcia Cortina, Venturini, Hugo Page, Lars Boven. All those guys have a fast finish. They aren't able to compete in real bunch sprints, but there are a couple of opportunities for those guys if there are sprints for reduced groups that they can
I
get
can't see
a
them
win.
beat Mats Pedersen, to be honest.
Yeah, me neither. But then you don't have to line up and just stay in your sofa and wait till the race is over. Um, a lot can happen. So yeah, it's an opportunity for them. They get they will probably get freedom like an Alpecin, an Intermarché, a Movistar. They don't really bring a GC man, so it's up to them to bring the team some stage glory.
We owe it to Carlos Rodriguez to mention him as one of the GC favorites
Yeah,
as well, I think. He won Tour de
certainly,
Romandie.
certainly,
He
certainly.
was second at Basque Country. And he will be the main leader for Ineos Grenadiers at
Mm,
Dauphiné. I think Egan Bernal is going to Tour de Suisse,
yeah.
and the plan is to get them both into Tour de France. So Carlos Rodriguez, am I right that he needs a top five in this Dauphiné
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
relaxed for the Tour?
Yeah. It's
And do you think that's possible?
yeah, actually. Yes. Uh, I don't know why, but I have a good feeling about the Spaniard. Carlos Rodriguez is a guy I like to see um, how he races. He races attractively. It's not like he's racing very defensively. He tries to, yeah, do things and attacks if it's possible. If I recall correctly, he was unlucky last year in the Tour de France that he crashed close to the final stages and then lost a final spot in GC.
Yeah.
Um, I hope he's able to perform 100% for the 3 weeks in the Tour, and the Dauphiné is the perfect launch spot for that. So getting a top five would be a perfect outcome for him and for the team. And if Bernal can do the same in Swiss um, the week uh, the week after Dauphiné, then I think Ineos can be happy and grow towards the Tour. But still, yeah, it's not the Ineos we remember from the Froome Wiggins days where they were the main favorites. It's already a couple of years that they had to step down. Um, but yeah, lining up with a good Bernal and Rodriguez, it's not a bad thing for the squad.
They might be close to a stage win as well. Ineos Grenadiers with Joshua Tarling in the individual time trial. Um, the course of the time trial is kind of similar to the one at the World Championships. Do you think he will consider this as the perfect test for that World Championships?
I don't think he will consider it as a test. Just think he wants to win it. He's in the lineup, yeah, for that individual time trial to get that win. And he's for me the main favorite to take the win there. Um, that guy is so young still and so powerful. It's extremely nice to see. Um, so yeah, and it's gonna be a good race to get some, yeah, to get some hard racing again because he's still young. He isn't that experienced. Now he gets into a Dauphiné with a very tough parcours with a lot of mounted top finishes. So up to Tarling now to get and gain the experience there and see how it goes. But he's the main chance for Ineos to get at least a stage win, one stage win in this Dauphiné.
There's something striking about the team of Bahrain Victorious. Antonio Tiberi is back in action 1 week after the finish of Giro d'Italia. How smart is that?
I don't understand it at all. It's Tiberius battling for the U25 for the white jersey, so he's still very young. Um, a Grand Tour on its own is an attack on the body. Um, we have a lot of stories from riders saying you have to recover after a Grand Tour. Even Machin said it yesterday. There were days Pogacar burned 8,000 calories. So if Pogacar burned 8,000 calories, the opposition burned over 10k calories, I assume. And then a week later, you have to line up in a Dauphiné. It's a Dauphiné. It's not the Saudi Tour or something where you race 5 or 6 stages in a desert with less than 100 altitude meters. No, you go to one of the hardest 1 week stage races on the calendar. Yeah, insane decision. It's not like Bahrain has a bad squad, has a bad bench. They can line up so much riders, but they still have to choose, yeah, someone who performed 3 weeks in a Grand Tour. It's stupid. It doesn't make sense. The only thing why is maybe because he asked it himself. But then I would like to sit in front of Tiberi and just ask the question, why, mate? Don't you want to be home for, or
Are you feeling good?
are you feeling good? Because yeah,
I
what's
got
your
two more
opinion
teams.
about it? To be honest,
Yeah, it's extremely stupid, in my opinion. Um, According to his schedule, he's going to the Vuelta as well. Um, Vuelta starts at the 17th of August. I would recommend Tiberi to take some rest, to take some time off the bike, and then start building up again towards La Vuelta. But as you say, Critérium du Dauphiné is extremely hard this season. So yeah, being 22 years old, this is not necessary at all.
but
Um,
uh, what do you expect from him? Domestique,
Nothing.
or is he leader next to
There is only
Buitrago?
one leader in the Bahrain team. In my opinion, that's Santiago Buitrago. He's proved this season that he's worth it being the leader. He's going to Tour de France as a team leader as well. So yeah, no, Tiberi won't be the leader. Absolutely not. I don't think he'll be competitive as well. And you can't blame the guy. Two more teams I would like to mention. EF Education Easy Post. He is back. Nielsen Paulus.
Pow pow.
Finally.
And
Finally.
American champion Sean Quinn.
Yep. Um, Paulus was going to target the classics, but then injuries ruined that plan. The guy got back at Eschborn Frankfurt at 22nd place, and then he went to the States for the championships there, 2 bronze medals. He's going to Tour de France. So yeah, you know what the problem is? We've had this discussion like 10 times already, the past couple of years. Do you see Paulus as a GC rider or do you see him as a stage hunter?
Stage under 100%.
So you want him to attack at this Dauphiné?
Yeah, I think we see the most of Paulus when he's free and he's able to do what he wants. I remember him 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that he was 10th or close to a GC top 10 in the tour. That he just tried to hang on to get that good GC result. But it wasn't fun to see because we both know the capabilities he has and how good he can be when he goes stage hunting. Um, and with the capabilities he has to use it to his advantage and go for stages and not waste energy for a GC top 10 because there is Carapaz in the squad as well for the tour. He's probably domestiquing there together with a free roll in a couple of stages. So in this Dauphiné, I wouldn't bother about the GC and I would just pick my stages and go for it, make it attractive.
I think the same goes for Israel Premier Tech next to GC leader Chris Froome.
Yeah.
Um,
Froome is on a very high level.
the team has the perfect squad for stage hunting with Derek G, Hugo Hull, Chris Nylands, Dylan Tuns. Those are extremely good stage hunters.
Yeah, it's a pretty a good squad if you remove the first two names from that list, Chris
Chris
Froome and
Froome.
Jacob Fulsang. That's still the remainings of the retirement home within Israel Premier Tech. But this is the last. I saw an interview from Froome. This is the last chance for him to prove his worth of participation in the Tour de France in 2024. I don't want to be disrespectful at all. What the guy achieved in his career
Don't take him to
is
France.
is mental. He won 4 times the Tour, 2 times the Vuelta, 3 times the Dauphiné, where he lines up this year again. But it's time to retire, Chris. If you hear it, uh, you finished the Marathon Tour in 47th. Um, you would say 47th. It's in the first half if there are 100 participants, but there only finished 63 riders. So no, I wouldn't invest anymore in going to Grand Tour. Yeah, do whatever you have to do to get that sponsor money you receive. But yeah, I don't know if he still has a contract for 2025 actually. No, please.
Yep.
Chris. Oh.
Still going strong.
Yeah, and actually exactly the same story for Fulsang, that they are both done. It's time
They're
to
both
move on.
39, but the difference is that Fulsang don't have a contract, doesn't have a contract for next year. Chris Froome does. But apart from that, Israel
Yeah.
Premier Tech has a really strong team, an interesting team as well. So
Yeah.
kudos for that. Is there anyone else, if you would like to mention before we end up this Dauphiné preview?
Well, I have 3 names written down. Derek G from Israel. I expect quite a bit big things from him.
He's
He looks
finally back.
he
Derek
looks
G.
sharp again. What's his nickname again?
Yeah.
The Dark Eye. Yeah.
The dark eyed Junko from Ottawa. He is
Yeah,
back.
yeah. He's back. And then I wrote down Clément Berthet and Luca Vergalito. Why Clément Berthet? He performed very strong in the American Tour earlier this week, won by Lenny Martinez. The watts there were pretty strong. It was, I think, estimated 6.9 watt per kilo on the final ascent. So that's a pretty good numbers. He was able to stick with Martinez for quite a bit. Side note, that American Tour was an incredibly tough race with over 5,000 altitude meters. Yeah, in only 168 kilometers. So yeah, Berthet, stage hunter, not a GC man. He can go for it. He gets Freeman Decathlon. Decathlon is flying in general this season. Those Van Rysel bikes are giving wings. Maybe it's time for Bora to change to Van Rysel to make the giving wings Red Bull another dimension. And then Luca Vergalito. Why Luca Vergalito? Well,
Because you're his biggest fanboy. That's why.
no, that's not true.
I don't really get the hype, to be honest.
Well, I learned to know him with the Zwift Academy, but I already knew him before because he was in a GCN video. If I remember correctly, his Strava name is Il Bandito. But yeah, he's the only climber within the Alpecin team. So if he gets in a break, he can do something, and I'm just interested to see how he performs.
Okay.
Then
I think that's it.
I have a question for you, actually.
Still have a question.
2 questions. First question: if you're GC leader for a team for the Tour de France, so if you don't crash, you participate. Do you line up in the Dauphiné or do you start Swiss?
Dauphiné. What about you?
Swiss.
Yeah, as a sprinter, I'll definitely go to Swiss. There's nothing going on here for sprinters.
Yeah, I agree. The same. The Dauphiné is for me the perfect preparation for Dauphiné. Not only the parcours, but I think for the schedule as well, because Swiss is even 1 week later. So when Swiss ends, it's a little less than 2 weeks to go to the Tour.
And I'm pretty sure with the lineup we have here, there will be hard racing, there will be good racing, it will be attractive to watch. So make sure you don't miss out on it. Eve, I already revealed my favorite for GC being Juan Ayuso. Who do you think will beat him?
It's probably boring to say the same name.
I know, Primoz Roglic. You're going for Primoz Roglic?
Yeah, probably going for Roglic indeed.
Good old Primoz. All right. That's a wrap for today's Domestique Cycling Podcast episode. If you enjoyed, don't hesitate to subscribe and click the like button. Don't miss out on the Critérium du Dauphiné because these 8 stages will be fireworks, and we will be back next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I've got the spots, the sickness. There's the twins in my brain.